Welcome to Horizon, a podcast empowering women to heal, overcome trauma, embrace change, and through our community, we strive to inspire women to create a future where they lead with love, confidence, and courage, helping break boundaries and reach new horizons. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 14. I am so excited. So on today's topic, we are going to talk about being out of survival and healing into our femininity. And I know very much about both of those. If you guys kept up with my podcast, you kind of know a little bit of my history. I left a 13-year relationship and it was not healthy. It was actually very, there was a lot to that relationship. So if you want to kind of catch up, go watch or listen to some of our podcasts at the beginning. But I just want to talk about this because I feel like I'm in a different place than I was when I started the podcast. When I started the podcast, I was still in survival. I was still on fight or flight and, definitely not in the place where I am now. And I just wanted to share how my healing journey is going, and just kind of maybe, give a little insight as to how I've overcome a lot of things that, life just throws at us, especially after a separation in many different ways. So first off, I want to start off with saying, healing is not, it's not a fix it and that's it. Healing is a lifestyle. It truly is. It's something that we work on every day and we show up for ourselves on the daily. And it's not linear. We've said that so many times. And, we have had episodes where we've talked about healing, and this one's a little bit more in depth. I want to be a little bit more in healing more internally. On the last one, I think we kind of covered, just what it's like to be in your healing and heal. This one is a little bit more, I want to be a little more in depth as far as like true healing and not what comes with it, but, some of us see it as like, it's hard. Healing is hard, right? But there's also beauty to it. And I just wanted to share that, and I know that I can relate to a lot of women in the sense of like, I've been through a lot of different things in my life. And I've gone through a lot. So I feel like I have the place to kind of speak about that. As far as, healing, when I started my journey of healing, right? I don't know if that's what we're going to call it, but I definitely did not know what I was walking to. I remember just thinking, I want to just, how would I say it? I want to just fix myself. I feel broken. Of course, after you leave a relationship, you don't feel your best. And depending on the type of relationship that you were in, that is going to reflect as well. And there's a lot of post trauma that comes with it, emotionally, psychologically. There's a lot to it, right? And I remember when I first submitted myself to like, okay, I need to like, after things had calmed down a little bit, I remember that I was trying everything to fix myself, right? I was like, if I heal myself and I fix myself, I can be a better mom. I can be a better in my business. I can show up. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. What I did is I started therapy. I submitted myself in my faith. I went to the gym. That was definitely a huge escape for me. And I just tried my best to walk in a path where it was healing but I didn't really truly understand it until recently, actually. And healing can have a lot of different meanings for people, but I think, the real definition is internally, right? And as women, especially, we come from an abusive relationship or just an unhealthy, toxic relationship. There's going to be a lot of, like I've said, traumas and a lot of things that we deal with after emotionally and psychologically. And it's literally all about rewiring what we were used to and where we came from and what we learned, to be able to be better and feel better and look at life differently. So something that I realized is that I didn't sit in my traumas and I didn't victimize myself. I actually tried my best to stay positive in situations where it was just, it was a lot, right? So let me tell you how I lived in survival after leaving my relationship, right? So my relationship came with a lot of chaos after I left. It was very hard for him to accept that I didn't want to be in that relationship anymore. And I had to fight for my survival. I had to fight for my safety. I was in and out of court the first year that I left, 10 months out of the 12 months. I was literally fighting for safety and I was trying to survive. So it was crazy. I kind of know that. And I also know what it's like to live in anxiety. And I was what you called a functioning person going through depression. I had so much going on. Not only did I have my own emotions of everything that was going on, but I also had my two daughters, right? So that is why it was a sense of urgency for me to I need to get better, feel better, because if not, I'm not going to be okay. On top of everything that I was dealing with, I ended up closing my business because I just couldn't mentally handle any of that. And other reasons, right? But I experienced a lot. And in the moment when you're going through so much, I don't think that we take the time to really process because we're going through a lot of emotions, right? And then I was going through a lot of new emotions that I wasn't used to and in my relationship, I wasn't aware of different emotions. I was just going through the motion, right? And I learned a lot. I learned that we're not always going to be in survival. And I learned that we have to do the work in order for us to have a better outcome, because it's kind of like I said before, we are in charge of our lives, right? And we are in charge of the decisions that we make and the people that we allow and the actions that we take. And after processing all of that and, going through the motions of healing, going through therapy, submitting myself in my faith, something I want to, it's after you leave a relationship, you go through a lot of different stages. And I realized to give myself grace and be kind to myself, right? That's something that I definitely learned. And I think the most important thing that I took out of everything is to take it one day at a time. And I remember being in my life was always go, go, go. And, as an entrepreneur, I'm always thinking of what's ahead. My schedule's already booked out. So my life has always been go, go, go. And now my life is, I enjoy the calm days. the days where it's not chaotic. I mean, we're always going to have those here and there, but I try my best now to live in calmness and not be so anxious about things, right? And I think the main thing that I learned is to allow myself to not have control of the things that I can't control and just let them be, and God will take care of them. And since I started doing that, my faith grew even more, and life has been easier, it's been better, and I'm not so much on survival. And I never knew what that was until I started, therapy. And I was like, this is what I'm in. I didn't know that, I'm on fight or flight. I didn't know that I was just trying to stay afloat. I was just doing what I needed to do in the moment, right? And I think everybody kind of lives like that. We don't sit here and take the time to sit down and actually look at what we're going through, process it, and see how far we go every step of the way. And I learned that the little wins lead to huge victories. And now I take the time to give myself grace and be kind to myself. And, I learned, like I said earlier, that, healing is not a destination, it's a lifestyle. And there is power in healing. And in that, healing is not strength. It's learning to embrace the softness. And what that means is that you didn't allow your situation or what you went through turn you into someone that you're not. You didn't allow it to harden you. You didn't allow it to change who you were or who you are, right? If anything, it made you a better person. And I learned that, healing is not strength. And I recently realized that when people say, oh my God, you're so strong, to me, it's not a complimenting me, honestly, because I have no choice but to be strong. So that strength that you're talking about, it comes with what life throws at you. I realized that healing is tapping into your feminine and not allowing your past traumas or your past situations to turn you into someone you're not. Instead, it's, I don't want to say embracing, but accepting what we went through, and doing the work to not allow it to break us or change us for, how would I say it? Not allowing us for it to break us or change us into someone that we're not. And what I realized through my healing is that I didn't know myself. I had gone into the relationship when I was 19 years old, 19, 20. And, when you're that age, you're young, you don't know what you want out of life. You don't know a lot of things. And now at the stage that I am in, the age that I am at, and after everything that I've gone through, life, to me now I see it as like I'm wiser and I've learned a lot. And instead of allowing what happened to me to victimize me and to make me into an ugly person, I've actually allowed it to for the first time ever, be feminine and soft. And I learned how to get off my masculine. I think that, as a single mother, I kind of have that naturally because I have new roles now, but I know when to turn that off. And I think that a lot of women need to know that, or maybe not know, but hear healing is, like I've said, it's a lifestyle, and it's not that it's going to fix you, but it's going to help you understand how to cope with emotions, right? It's going to help you learn to create boundaries. It's going to help you learn how to be aware and what to look for on your next relationship or your next friendship. Because it's not just you're healing from just, a partner relationship, but maybe family too, or friends, right? Heartbreak can apply to either of those. And I think that it's all in the way that we look at our situation. And I decided to stay optimistic and not let it break me. And I feel like I told myself, you don't have a choice. You have 2 daughters that are looking at you. And how are you going to get out of this? And I learned that, through what I submitted myself to and I call healing came a lot. And I learned that healing is tapping into your feminine energy and surrendering into your softness and embracing what life throws at you and not allowing it to change you. And it takes a lot to do that because it's easy to hold on to hate. It's easy to hold on to resentment. It's easy to hold on to, well, you did this and you hurt me and you did that. But let's be honest, why not look at it like we're out of that? And we weren't meant to be in that, but we went through that for a reason. And it's kind of like what I've said before, people come into our lives for a season and there's always a reason to them. And sometimes we stick around in situations where we stay too long. And after, we have to kind of self-reflect and look at what did we do to help ourselves or not help ourselves, right? And out of the relationship, now that I had control and allowing myself to not have control in certain situations, I learned that I actually was the only one that can make choices for my own life. And I changed that. And what I want to share with each of you is that being feminine is not just the way you dress or how you do your makeup or your self-care. It's not just outer appearance. I believe that does have to do with it, but it's honestly internally about knowing who you are. What's your identity, right? Me reflecting back, I realized that I learned a lot about myself that I didn't know about myself. And sometimes I'll sit here and ask, like, my clients will have some deep conversations. And then I ask them, like, tell me some good things or how you view yourself. Right. And some of them will tell me, and some of them are like, damn, I never thought about that. And I just think it's crazy because how do we not know what we have to offer, right? If we don't know ourselves, we don't know what we bring. So let me give you a quick example. I realized that when I love hard. I stayed with somebody for 13 years and I was faithful. I was loyal. I took a lot because I wanted that person to change. And I saw the good in that person instead of seeing the reality of that person, right? And I realized that when I next time around am, given the opportunity to share my love with someone, I will love unconditionally, right? And not only that, but I realized that I'm a kind person. I realized that I'm ambitious. I have goals. I realized that I am determined. When I set my mind to something, I do it. I realized that I'm a great mother. I realized that I'm a great friend. I realized there's so much to it. I realized what my core values truly are and what I believe in. And I realized that at the end of the day, I was just with someone that didn't know how to love me, and I couldn't reciprocate that back. And now that I am so in tune with myself and I've done the work, it hasn't been easy. And I've studied myself. I looked at myself bare. I've looked at the good and the bad. I've looked at what I brought to the relationship, what I didn't bring to the relationship. I looked at what I will do differently next time. And I realized that not everyone deserves my time or my attention. And I realized that I have to be very selective as to who I give my energy or my time to, because I am a valuable, worthy person, and not everybody should have access to me. And I just want every woman out there to know that you are I went through those stages of where I didn't know my worth, especially after the relationship. I questioned myself. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't have, I didn't know me. Let's be honest. And when I started slowly, as I'm going through my healing, things started to clear, and I started to do the real internal work. And what comes with that is healing your inner child. You have to heal your inner child in order for you to heal. And I think that was probably one of the toughest ones for me, because I wasn't expecting that. Like, what? I'm feeling things that I never even knew I had bottled up. And I learned that when I healed that inner child, I made her happy. And I fixed relationships became better for me. And I now have like this discernment where I look at situations different. And, sometimes it can be like, how would I say it? I just choose to look at people and maybe I think it's a good thing, because instead of me saying, that person is a blah, 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 I rather say, that person has a lot of traumas that they're walking around with. And I think with what I'm trying to do with Horizon Podcast, like I've said before, and I will continue to say, is help women overcome their traumas and not stay in the victim mentality, and not allowing it to change you or define you. Because when you go through a heartbreak, when you go through cheating, when you go through abuse, when you go through, psychological or mental abuse or any of that, right? Just unhealthy relationships, they change you, and you lose your identity, you lose who you are. And it's about gaining yourself and knowing yourself at the stage that you're in at the moment. And when you find her, you love her and you nurture her, and you will see what she can do. And I feel like I look at life differently. And don't get me wrong, you're going to meet people that are still going to probably test you. But when you do healing and when you get close to, your faith or whatever it is that you believe in, you will be able to see things for what they really are. And at that point, it'll be your choice if it's something that you want to walk into and, entertain or be friends with, or whatever the situation is, or if it's something that you're like, this is not worth me anymore, and I'm going to walk away. And let me tell you, it's so much easier when you know your value and your worth, because it's so easy to say bye to the things that no longer serve you. And it's just, there's beauty in healing if you really take the time to do it. And it's work. It's constant work. And like it's not a one-time fix. It's something that you learn to apply to your daily life, and you walk with it. And I'll tell you this, when you heal yourself, and when you do the work, and when you invest into yourself, and when you know who you are, you walk with different energy. Your aura is totally different. You walk in a room and you know your worth, you know your value, and you carry that with you. And people see that, and the right people will be attracted to that. And the people that are not meant for you, like I said, you will be able to see that. And that's the beauty about focusing on yourself, and the difference, like I said, in being feminine in the healing is not allowing things to change you, and actually embracing who you are as a person, and owning that you are valuable and that you do have a lot to offer, and that someone else's perception of you or the way that they treated you is not going to change who you are. Instead, it's going to be admirable, because you're going to become better. You're going to love yourself more, and you're not going to allow that person to take away from you. Instead, it's something that you applied and you grow from and you move on from, right? So just remember that you are not your trauma. You are not what you went through, and your story doesn't end there, okay? You are far more than that. You can come out of wherever you're at, because I was there. I was depressed. I was sad. I was heartbroken. I was on survival. I've been in my masculine. I've been trying to, I understand. But there is a light at the end of that tunnel. There is sunshine after the rain. And I am walking testimony of that. And I just want to share that with everyone, that it's not going to stay dark forever. I promise you that. But you also have to do the work. It's not just going to happen. And you have to get yourself out of that depression. You have to do things for yourself. Put yourself in places that you wouldn't before. Do things you haven't done before. It's when you leave something so unhealthy, it's easy to stay in that misery. But just remember that you are not your traumas, and don't stay victimized to those traumas. Don't carry those around. Don't lead with those. And just learn to create boundaries. And most of all, let me tell you, trust your intuition. My intuition is so on point now that it's a little scary, because we have that for a reason. So it's work on trusting your intuition. It's there. Lead with that femininity and learn to embrace that. And don't allow what you've gone through to turn you into someone you're not. But I hope you guys got something out of this episode. And look out, we're going to be having Horizon podcast meetups. I want to do them at least once a month. And I can't wait to share those with you guys. I'll let you guys know the dates. I'm trying to have one at least once a month. And I will give you guys more information next time around. But thank you for tuning in. You guys have a beautiful day, and we will see you in episode 15.